Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Show Me How It's Done. I hope you're all excited to see a baby shark card featuring our Shark Frenzy stamp set and die with a fun little feature. So this card is really cute, but then it has a flip feature. So you have both the baby sharks, the mommy, and the daddy sharks in a fun little double flip card. So let me show you how we're going to make this card today. I decided to do something a little different, and I have a nice tray full of a bunch of pieces that you need to pre-cut for our card. Okay, so I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit just so you can see all of those. And I'll let you just have a second to be able to just pause the video, and you can always come back and do these pieces in a minute here, okay? But I'm just going to briefly go over them. So for our pull features for the sharks moving, we're going to need 2 of these large rectangles. They measure 1 by 5 1/4. For the little tabs that actually make the squares flip back and forth, you'll need 2 of these tiny little 1 by 1 squares. And if you can see here, I have put a score mark at the 3/4 of an inch mark, okay, right there. So do that on both of them. You will need 4 sharks total, so 2 large sharks and 2 small sharks. And the great thing about our stamp set is there's actually the layers for you to stamp the entire colored feature of the shark right over the body. You can also color with your choice of blends or Stampin' Write markers, but the stamp is really versatile in the fact that it's very easy just to stamp those colors in and not have to worry about staying in the lines. Okay, so continuing on, just for some other pieces you'll want to prepare ahead of time. We're going to need some waves for the bottom of our card. You can see I've put them down here. So what I've done is I have cut my largest rectangle at 1 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then once you have your rectangle, you'll just take the wave die from the set and cut as close to the top of that rectangle as possible. Okay, so this side should almost maintain the 1 1/2. And then of course you'll have little divots where the waves are that measure a little less. So this is the largest piece, and that's in Pacific Point. In Bermuda Bay, we're going to cut 1 1/4 by 5, and then 1 more Pacific Point that measures 1 by 5. Those are going to be your 3 layers, and then I took the little doo-doo stamp from the set and I just stamped it in Pacific Point on my smallest layer, okay? You will also want to have some squares, which are these ones on the front here that the shark's resting on and the daddy shark on the back. So you're going to need 4 of the base squares. Those are in Pacific Point. They are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and 4 of the embellished ones here. I used the Seabed 3D embossing folder. Pardon me. Those are going to measure 2 by 2, and you need 4 of those as well. So I know this is a lot of cutting, and that's why it's nice you can just pause your video and get all of this cut. You'll also want some little tags for the baby shark, the mommy and daddy shark sentiments. So in Pacific Point, I've cut 4 rectangles, 1 by 3/4, or is it 1? I think it's 1 and 3/4. Let's put a 1 in there. Sorry, there you go. 1 by 1 3/4. I'll just erase this. 1 by 1 3/4, because your white layers here are 1 by 1 1/2. They are 4 identical rectangles. However, you're going to choose from your stamp set which pairings you would like. You can also have grandma and grandpa sharks, mommy and daddy, daddy and daddy, mommy and mommy, baby, 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 maybe. You have all of those choices, but you can just make a little shark family however you wish. So these are the main pieces that you're going to need for all of our knickknacks on the card. There's also some really cute bubble dies. If you want, you can cut those out of basic white. Now I'm going to move this, and then I'm just going to give you the measurements for some of our other pieces. So for our card base here, this I have chosen to go with the Pacific Point once again. So this measures 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to put a score mark at that 4 1/4 inch mark. That's going to be our card base. The other pieces that you'll want are our inside and outside borders. This is using Bermuda Bay once again. These both measure 4 by 5 1/4. Two of them identical. And then we're going to end up cutting 3 pieces of basic white. For start, they're going to measure 3 3/4 by 5. One of them will be for the front of our card that we are going to emboss with the Seabed 3D embossing folder. But keep that aside. We need to work on that independently, so don't attach it. Don't even be tempted. One of these pieces is going on the inside of your card for you to write on, so you can mount it just onto a Bermuda base and put it on the inside of your card. And then this last piece here, we're going to make a template so that you can make this card a little easier the next time you want to. Okay, so we're going to start with making a template. Now I have one here for you to kind of see what mine looks like. And then I'm going to zoom you guys back in so that hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, okay? So grab a ruler, and on the top of your page, we're going to make, so this again, remember, is a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece. On the 5 inch side is where we're starting to work. You're going to make a little tick mark at the 3/16 of an inch. And maybe I'll just hold this here so you can just take, there you go, just maybe quickly jot those down or take a screenshot of that, because you'll want these measurements for sure. Okay, so 3/16 is where we put the first tick mark, both on the top and now on the bottom of our piece of paper. And then we're going to move over and put a tick mark at 2 5/8. So just remember, you might have to sit here and count out your ruler. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5/8. And I know these are really random measurements, but it was just how the flip feature, I was able to get these squares as close to the center of my card as possible. They looked a little weird otherwise. Okay, so 2 5/8. And then you're just going to draw lines to connect these. This paper doesn't have to look pretty, because remember, it's simply your template. We're only drawing all these lines so we can cut 2 little lines to trace on. Okay, and then I like to just record my numbers. So 2 5/8 by 3/16 here. And I'm going to turn my paper so that I can put the markings on the other side here. And I'm going to go this way, so I'm working from the left here. And I'm going to put a tick mark at the 3/4 of an inch mark. And then also at the 1 3/4 of an inch mark. 3/4, 1 3/4. Do the same on the top of your paper here. 3/4, 1 3/4. And then we're going to draw those lines in between. Like so. And once more, I do just like to write on here. So 3/4 of an inch 1 3/4. So this now is a template for you to use on other cards, but we have one more job to do. So grab your trimmers, and this little section here, right here and right here, these are the 2 lines that we're going to completely take out. That's going to be our template for future cards, okay? So the reason I like to draw from top to bottom is I can easily line my my mark up now to the cutting grid, and then all I'm going to do is take my blade and put it smack dab in the middle of my cutting section so that I can just slowly kind of work back and forth and make sure that I'm getting to the top and the bottom of these lines. And if you haven't noticed, the side of your blade has a really neat marking right here that will show you exactly where your blade's hitting. So you want it to line up to these horizontal lines that you have drawn both on the top and on the bottom here. Okay, so once you've gotten that, it's perfect. If you're like me, I liked a little space to work, so I'm just going to move over a fraction of an inch, and I'm just going to recut that section so that it's not just the tiniest little strip. I've actually got almost a small little rectangle here. That's my template now. Okay, so here's one side. I'm going to do the exact same on the other one here. Because it's so small, I like to actually just flip it over and work from this side. So again, just slowly backing and forth, make sure you're getting your lines, and then just flip it over teeny tiny, or move it over, I guess, almost like 1/16. Like, don't move very much at all. Might not even cut through anything, so just move it over again. There you go. Okay, so just pull out that excess paper. Now you can see, if you hold it up to the light, you should be actually able to see just a tiny bit of light through that crack. Okay, so your template is what we're going to use on top of this nicely embossed piece of basic white. Okay, so they're exactly the same size when you line them up together. This just meant that we didn't have to sit here and draw lines all over this beautiful piece that's going on our card. All we need to do is take a pencil, and inside the little grooves that we've already drawn, we're going to just draw a line up and down, and a line up and down in here. Okay? Now with your trimmer, you are simply cutting those 2 lines. Don't have other lines all over my page to get rid of, just these 2, and that should be pretty manageable. Okay, so again, just remember, go up and down very slowly. You only want to cut where that line itself is, and then flip your card over, and we're going to cut in this section as well. So if you're a little uncomfortable with using the template, you certainly can do those exact same measurements just right on this piece of paper. My only caution is to press very lightly with your pencil so that when you are done, you can just go over top with an eraser and lightly brush it off. It doesn't really matter how dark you go with these cracks, because we're going to be covering them with these pieces here. However, if you're drawing all over this page, you may end up running into some little slots where people would see your markings. Okay, so it's completely up to you. You can choose whether you want to use a template or just use those measurements I gave you and draw it straight on this piece. Okay, so I'm going to prepare the rest of my card base just for now, and then we're going to worry about getting this piece and the pull feature onto the card. Okay, so just bear with me. We're going to go back and grab our card base. On the front, we're going to attach a Bermuda Bay piece of cardstock, just with any sort of adhesive you have on hand. And don't worry about putting that one up on dimensionals. We're going to put the white one up so it's got enough dimension there for you. Okay, so this gets attached straight to the front here, like so. And then on the inside, we're going to go ahead and put those other two large pieces. So the first one being that Bermuda Bay, the second one being that third piece of basic white that we had cut at 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, so these guys are getting put on the inside of our card just so you have a nice space to write. You could also maybe stamp something from the stamp set, maybe add a little bit more of the song or put some more words on the inside, but it's a great place for you just to write a little note. There we go. There. So I wanted to have this ready just so that once I have this feature kind of set, that we can just stick it straight onto the card. Okay, so here comes some fun. So we're gonna go back to our little board of pieces here. And the pieces we're gonna start with are these pull pieces, these 2 rectangles. So grab those and grab these 2 little flaps like so. And then you can go ahead and have these ones also ready to go. Okay, so the other pieces are very easy to attach any other time, but I like to have these pieces in front of me ready. So what I'm going to do is mount my little squares onto their bases so that they're ready to go. Again, use any sort of adhesive you like. Just be mindful that when you have an embossed piece of cardstock, it may be a little harder to attach, so something like double-sided tape or glue might be nice, or our Seal Plus. It's a little stronger than the other seal. Okay, so just go through, attach all 4 of these together so they're ready. And you can decorate after the card has been put together, but I do find it's nice to have these parts attached and ready to go. Just gives you a little bit more stability when you're actually working on the card. Okay, so those are ready. You can also, right now, if you're using tape, you can put the adhesive on and just wait for the right time to use it. If you're using seal, then don't put any adhesive on until you're actually ready to put these pieces onto the project. But I'm going to have them ready to go so you guys don't have to wait on me for that. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then put those 4 aside. We're going to deal with these 2 large rectangles. You're actually going to attach them together. So they're exactly the same size. And I'm just going to put adhesive on one of the strips. The reason you're attaching them is because people are going to be playing with this pull tab a lot, and it puts a lot of strain on a piece of cardstock. So if you're using a white, you can actually just choose to use our thick basic white or our thick vanilla. Any of those you don't need to double layer, but I wanted a colored tab, so I'm going to double layer my cardstock because it's a little thinner, and when people are kind of working on it back and forth, it does take a lot of wear and tear. Okay, so we've got this guy all ready to go. These 2 pieces, you don't need to put adhesive on at the moment, but have them folded. Okay, so grab your bone folder, wherever mine went. Mine ran away. I'm going to just grab my ruler because you do really want a nice crisp line on both of those. There we go. Okay, so we've only folded this little tab back, so you should have one section. It's about 1/4 inch. The other sections are 3/4 of an inch. 2 of them. Okay, here's where it gets fun. So I am going to use glue, which means it's going to take a little time to dry. However, when I first demonstrated this card, I used tape and I found my sharks didn't want to pull as easily, okay? So I had a little trouble when I was trying to pull them, that they didn't want to move simply because the tape ended up being a little too wiggly. So I'm going to use glue, which means if you do this, you can't start pulling your tabs right away, okay? You're just going to have to be patient. If you want to play with your tabs right away, put tape on, and then after a couple, plays, you can probably just pull this thing out, add glue, and it'll work. But I do really suggest using glue and then being patient and waiting to pull this until that actually dries, okay? So I will try and go slowly for this part, and hopefully you can see what we're doing. Okay, so tab number 1, stick it into the edge here. So you should have the big part of your section sticking out. The little part of your section is on the inside of, on the back side of your card. Okay, so do that for 1 of them and do that for 2 of them. Okay, so they both should look like this at the moment. You've got a large section and then your small sections, okay? So lay it flat, and then we're going to take some glue and put it on the back of these small sections here. You don't need a ton. This is super sticky, so I'd just like to do dots all the way along. Okay, now what you need to do is all the way to the top edge of this paper. Okay, so put this rested at the top edge and make it sure it's in line with your papers here. We're going to put this straight on top here. Okay, and the nice thing about glue is it will also move for you. Okay, so let it rest just for a couple minutes while you're holding it here. So we want a really nice seal. So I'm just going to rub it a little bit so it soaks into that paper. Okay. So now you can see on this right-hand side, you'll have your tab. The left-hand side, for now, you should have nothing for the moment. Okay. Once you feel like it's dry, and it might not be for a little bit, so we're going to just be super gentle. Just kind of take the edges here. We want to pull this. There we go. And you'll want to pull this over now so that your right-hand side, you do not see a tab at all. The left-hand side will have this really weird looking thing. So this is the edge of your pull tab, and this is actually the edge of one of these little pieces. Okay, this is what you should see right now. And this is how we're going to attach these next pieces onto the project, okay? Once again, I'm going to use glue just because I want a nice solid seal. So as long as your right side is fully in line with this edge here, you can begin. You should have about 1/4 of an inch, just the same section size we had on the back showing. Okay, take glue, put dots on that little section, and then we're going to come in and bring two of our rectangles, or our squares here, sorry. Okay, so one square lines up right to the edge, and again, make sure it's nice and solid. Rub that glue in a little bit so it holds, and grab one more square, put it in this little section here, and rub it so it dries too. Okay. So these guys should be good. They're not ready for us to play with. However, you should be okay just to move them a little bit. So you can move that back into place. And, oh, whoops. Sorry, I think I told you the wrong thing. This is the one thing that's nice about glue. You can take this off. Hold on here. I think I moved my tab too much on you. Okay, I was right about where to glue. You don't have to actually take yours off, I don't think. Let me try and fix this. Okay. Yes, here we go. Okay. I'm going to just re-glue this. Here. So same section, not the whole thing. And put my thing down right here. Sorry. Re-glue. There we go. There we go. So this would be, if my glue is dry, how I would be able to pull this tab, and the pressure on this corner here, you can see it on this one. I pull this tab, the pressure in the corner piece flips this. Okay, so sorry about that. You didn't actually have to keep your strip moved over. You just only put adhesive on that little beginning part. Okay, so be very gentle, and we're gonna move these, flip them over so you can see the back, because we want to put our second piece of the square on top of here. So it almost sandwiches this little thing inside, little mechanism, and just gives it a little support when you're pulling back and forth. Okay, so your squares are the same size, put them right over top of each other. Okay, and then just be gentle, move that back out of your way. Okay, and then it's also not very sturdy right now because this white piece has no form. So if you were to start pulling this back and forth, all you're doing is pulling these two pieces around. And again, we're still just gonna give that glue a few more minutes to dry, okay? So we're gonna put dimensionals on the back of this project here and put it on our card base. This will give your card the support it needs when you're yanking paper around on it. So do lots of dimensionals and make sure you get both on top and below that pull line, okay? You want lots of support in here, and then I'm even gonna put another line in the bottom here on the card, okay? All right, this piece can go onto the front of my card now. So, and just keep in mind, I did not put any dimensionals on the blue. Don't do that, because then you can't pull this thing. Okay, So your paper will be a little stiff once your glue is dry. And again, I'm just a scaredy cat. I like to just make sure that everything's dry before I start yanking it around. So I'm not going to pull on this one. But when you pull on it, you should be able to flip those two pieces. Okay, because those corners are now nicely nestled in, they're supported, and you're gonna just be able to bump them all over the place. Okay, so let's decorate this guy a little bit. Totally up to you where you want to put your sharks. If you have really nice writing, you could write the word pull on this little tab, and then somebody knows to pull the tab on you. But let's start and I'll show you how I decorated. So first I grabbed my waves. My largest one here is what I'm starting with, just with some double-sided tape. I'm going to put that onto the bottom of my card here. A little long. I like this tape. You can just tear it off if you made a mistake. Okay. This one will go first. You may have to kind of nestle it under some of those squares because it is about the same height. That's okay. They lift up and that's just fine. Next piece here, I'm going to attach just right on top. I'm not using any dimensionals here, so I want my focus to be those sharks. And I don't want the waves to get in the way of these two flaps as they're moving back and forth. You don't want them to catch on anything as you're working. And then the last little wave section. Again, make sure to stamp before you attach this if you'd like to add the little song to the bottom. If you haven't heard the song, go near any elementary school and they will be singing it, I'm sure. There we go. Okay. So my intention with the waves was just that they were slightly smaller than one another, so you just got a little two-toned color in there, okay? To decorate on the front, you can certainly use dimensionals for these little tags here. So we're just going to come in, grab these 4 rectangles of each, and assemble those guys. So on the front, I put my baby sharks. Just mount those onto there. And I do like dimensionals for the front of my card, so I'm gonna do this. And I put him just at a slight little angle, like so. And then when I added my baby shark, I actually put my dimensional right on this tag here, and then I put the baby shark on top, so he's really sticking up off of the front of the card here. Okay, and on the opposite side, same deal. You're wondering about the colors for my inks. Pacific Point, Bermuda Bay, those are kind of the 2 standards I've used so far. But then I also brought in for the mommy the Magenta Madness ink color because I thought it was a nice bright pink. And then for this shark's body, I used the Bumblebee color of ink. All 4 just bright, vibrant colors. They really complement each other. Okay, once more, the little baby shark going to get popped up on my tag here. And as I mentioned, there's some really cute bubble dies inside this set here. So this set is huge. It's got waves, it's got like a sand dune, you've got bubbles, you've got some greenery if you wanted some grasses in the bottom. You could have extra little fish. There's some great features like glasses, a bow tie, a hat, cane, mustache for you to decorate your little sharks to your heart's content. So it's a really cute and adorable set. So I just grabbed a couple of those bubbles and I'm just going to add a couple dots of glue to attach that. And again, give the glue a couple seconds to set. A little bubble down here. And I had one more bubble that ran away. That's okay. I can always just cut out one more to go in behind here. Okay, so for the inside of this section, the mommy and daddy sharks, let's open this up. Just remember, you cannot use dimensionals in here, okay? If you use dimensionals, your card, instead of being able to go almost flat here, will end up looking like this, and it will be very challenging to put in an envelope because these dimensionals would bump into these ones, and then you couldn't squish this section to actually make an almost flat card for your envelope, okay? So open this up, and just keep in mind when you're assembling this section, please just use a flat adhesive. Use glue, use seal, use snail, or whatever you have on hand. Tape. Okay, so daddy shark. If you're wondering why I put it in this order, if you've heard the song, it's baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, mommy shark do 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 do, daddy shark do 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 do. Maybe you make a huge little I don't know, something inside here, and then you can put grandma and grandpa and finish the whole song. Totally up to you. But that was the rationale behind the order in which I did the card. Okay, so daddy shark goes straight onto the right side here, this panel, and then mommy shark is going on the left. Yeah. There we are. So hopefully you guys had a lot of fun with today's projects. I know there was a lot of steps to this card and a lot of little pieces that you needed to have cut out, but you can always pause and go back to the video, and if you have any questions or need clarification, please don't hesitate to reach out. So you can let your card just dry for maybe like 5 more minutes. I'm just a scaredy cat and I don't like to wreck things that I've done. So once it's dry, then you'll be able to hold this little tab and pull, and your little sharks should be able to move. You can always just kind of like hold one down with your finger, flip this over if you're singing the song to a little one. But I hope you had a lot of fun with our card. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe my channel. I'm trying to just get a little bit more interest in some of the videos, and it just gives me a way to continue bringing them to you. So that would be lovely if you guys could help me out with that. And once again, just please reach out if you have any questions about one of the features of the card, or if you need any information on where you can find the Shark Frenzy stamp set and dies. Have a great day, you guys. I will chat with you next week. Bye.